Greetings! In today's video, I'll be swatching the new colors from Szmal. To say I'm excited about these is an understatement. What I have here are the 20 new colors from Szmal. If you're unfamiliar with this brand, Szmal is both the name of the company and of the man behind the paints. These are relatively new outside of Poland, and they have been the most exciting thing for the watercolor world in a long time. They are beautiful, professional watercolor paints sold mainly in full pans, but now you can also get half pans at a very affordable price. A couple of years ago, I was able to thoroughly swatch the new colors released then. I'm very happy to be able to do this again with the newest release. I will be showing a scan of my swatches. I tried to color correct it as best as I can, but keep in mind that your own screens might be a different calibration and show the colors differently. Also, as a point of reference, I used Arches cold press paper for my swatches. On to the colors. Like last time, I'll go through these by color families, starting with the yellows. We are getting 4 new yellows with this release. The range had about 16 yellows previously, so that's 20 total available yellows now, not counting the earth tone yellows. The first new one is Nickel Tungsten Yellow, made from PY189. It's a nice light yellow. This color is more on the opaque side. From what I understand, this color is used regularly in plastics and enamels. This would be its first appearance as a watercolor paint. It's somewhat reminiscent of nickel titanate colors, usually PY53. I compared swatches of nickel titanate yellow and this nickel tungsten yellow, both from the Szmal range, and the tungsten one seems just a tiny bit more orange. The colors are very similar. Second new yellow is Azo Yellow, PY128, also named Azo Condensation Yellow. It is a bright, transparent yellow. This pigment is sometimes used as an alternative for Aureolin or Indian yellow colors, since these two are not light fast and or no longer produced. On its own, Azo Yellow is vibrant and transparent. This is a great new option for people who seek out a transparent yellow for their palette. As a yellow, it's more neutral than the equally transparent Nickel Azo Yellow. Third new yellow is Anthraquinone Yellow, PY147. This is another vibrant, transparent, and light fast yellow, though this one leans a bit more towards orange than the previous yellow we looked at. I think this is a gorgeous warm yellow and it would make for a great option in a split primary palette. This version is the only commercially available watercolor paint featuring this pigment. It has an even gradation from mass tone to diluted color, with the color softly lightening while maintaining its hue. Fourth new yellow is Gamboge Hue, PY95. This one is also transparent and vibrant. It's leaning towards orange as well, but seems more saturated than the previous yellow we looked at. This yellow seems like there's a small variation in hue from mass tone to diluted color, with the former being more orange and the latter being more yellow. Second color family that gets a fresh new color is the oranges. We are adding 1 new orange to the previous 13 or so. Again, I'm not counting in the orangish earth tones in this number. The new orange we get is Bismuth Orange, PO86, also named Bismuth Vanadate Orange. This pigment is a somewhat new pigment, as it got its pigment code in 2015. It comes directly from the automotive industry and should be quite light fast. As a paint, it's a somewhat opaque color and a very nice, even orange. Then we get 5 new reds. The full range had about 20 reds, not counting magentas or earth tone reds in this number. That means that we now have about 25 reds to choose from, depending on the effects we seek. The first new red is Raspberry Red, PR272. This one is a very bright red that seems fairly neutral as far as reds go. It doesn't look like it has a strong leaning towards orange or pink. This one is also a unique color. It is very vibrant, and this particular version of the pigment seems to be quite transparent. When the color is diluted, I feel like it leans a bit more pink than it does in the mass tone. Second new red is Quinacridone Warm Scarlet, PR207. This color is not one I've used before, and I was surprised. It's a really pretty pink-red color. It reminds me of Quinacridone Red, PR209, where Quinacridone Red is a touch more pink, and this Quinacridone Warm Scarlet is more red by comparison. Just the faintest amount. It's a really subtle difference. Third new red is Perylene Vermilion, PR123. We are getting 3 new Perylene colors with this release. This is the first one of them. This one is another pigment that we are getting for the first time through this watercolor paint. It's a nice bright red in its mass tone, and it dilutes into a slightly muted coral pink color. Fourth new red is Perylene Scarlet, PR149. It seems very similar to the previous red we've looked at, perhaps a tiny bit more yellow. It's a beautiful, rich, bright red color. When diluted, I'd say this one is more like a coral orange. This pigment is offered by a few other brands as a single pigment paint, but they seem to be very different hues than this one. Fifth and last new red is Perylene Red Deep, PR179. This is the standard pigment we see associated with a lot of Perylene Maroon watercolors. It can vary in hue. In this case, we get a muted deep red. I know it's a color somewhat reminiscent of blood to a lot of people. I don't really make the association personally, and it's a color that I really like. Moving on to the purple or violet color family. We get 2 new colors that would fit within this hue, making the new total of purple or violet colors to be around 16. The first new violet is named Strontium Violet, PV62. I was corrected in the last video about these. Lucas also offers this color in addition to Schmincke's and now this new one. It's a deeply granulating violet color, leaning more towards blue than pink. It's a bit reminiscent of some hues of ultramarine violet. It's a very beautiful color, easy to re-wet, and really interesting in mixes, as it would settle differently than other pigment in the mix and make for beautiful effects. Second new violet is Aquarius Violet, PB29, PV19, PR255. When it was developed, this color was named Plum. It's a very fitting name as the unique color is a nice plum hue with a very interesting texture. The ultramarine blue in the mix is granulating and separates from the violet and red pigment in the mix as it dries, making for a rich and appealing variating color. It really reminds me of plums. Next, we have 3 new blue colors. The range had about 20 blues before. This brings the total to 23. The first new blue is Phthalo Blue Turquoise shade, PB15 colon 4. I think we're all familiar with phthalo blues at this point. They usually come in a red-leaning and a green or yellow-leaning versions. This turquoise version here seems a bit lighter and leaning towards aqua, or yellow if you want, rather than red. It's a beautiful, strong color that is very transparent and very staining. Then we have Royal Blue Light, PW6, PB29, and PB15 colon 1. There is a royal blue in the range, which is made from the same pigments as this new color. Now both colors are very similar, but the new one looks more purple and less green to me. It's a very faint difference, but it's there. The white pigment in the mix makes this blue a tint, but it also mutes and cools down the color even more. Might be the current weather influencing me, but this feels like a very winter-y color. And thirdly, we have a pretty special color, the limited edition Lapis Lazuli Afghan. The pigment number is non-available as this is an earth pigment. It's literally a rock ground into pigment. This is a rare color, as very few genuine Lapis Lazuli paints are offered nowadays. It is beautifully even in hue, with light granulation. It reminds me of green earth in that aspect. The color is blue-gray and natural looking. Considering the nature of this pigment, which is usually very hard to re-wet, this one is very easy to re-wet. It's a beautiful soft color that is a lot more fine than other Lapis Lazulis that I've tried. This new release adds 2 new earth colors to the range. Since the earth colors category is somewhat vague and encompasses everything from yellow ochre to sepia, I'll compare these new colors to the ones that are similar within the previously available earth colors. The first new earth color we get is Natural Umber Reddish, PBR7. As a pigment, PBR7 is one of those that get a lot of variations in hue. It's an earth pigment, so depending on where you find it, it will change in hue. This one is similar to a couple of other colors already in the range. It's a deep muted brown with light granulation. The second one we get is Benzimidazole Brown, PBR 25. This one is a deep, transparent reddish brown color. It's a very useful color, and I'm very happy to see it added in this range. It's a color that can mix surprising new colors, for example when mixed with phthalo blues or phthalo greens. And finally, the last color family that gets expanded with this release is the neutral colors. The range previously had about 10 somewhat neutral colors, including some that are less neutral but still categorized as gray colors. The new release adds 3 colors, expanding the color family substantially. The first new neutral is a very exciting mix named Urban Gray and made from PW6:1, PBR29, PB29, and PY150. This one is an excellent stormy color. I can easily see it used for skies, seas, or rock. It would also work for streets and so many other things. It's a beautiful neutral color. It is granulating, so might not be suited to paint really smooth things, but I can see this color being useful for everything else. Very moody. The second new neutral is Graphite, PBK10. This is the genuine graphite pigment. As such, some versions of this color are somewhat shimmery. This one only has the faintest hint of shimmer, which I really enjoy. It is a very dark gray, almost black. The third new neutral and last color in this update is Velvet Black, PBR264 and PG7. It is a mix of a red and green pigments, balanced to get a really nice, very slightly cool black. It's fascinating to see how these two colors make for a deep, dark black. It's also really interesting to have an option for a black paint that is not made from a black pigment. No new green colors in this release, but the full range already has a generous number of greens, and it's easy to choose a green from the 20 already available. So here's a look at all the new swatches together. On its own, it's such a pretty selection of colors. I'm so inspired by these. I love all of them. Still, I think there are particularly noteworthy colors in this selection. The Aquarius Violet was definitely worth the wait. Beautifully dark and rich, its plum work name suits it really well. The Urban Gray is also one that stands out to me, as I feel it would be an extra useful convenience color. The Lapis Lazuli is very unique and such a pretty soft blue. I love the new transparent yellows a lot too. Well, you get it, I love all of these. I could ramble on and on, but what about you? What do you think of these? Any particular colors that stand out for you? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I want to take a moment to thank Roman Szmal for sending these to me so I can try them out and share swatches with you guys. That was very generous and I'm very grateful. I hope you have a lovely day. See you in the next one. Bye!